Hey yo, what's up? You know what it is. It's the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And of course, I'd like to welcome you guys back to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And today, children, is that we're just going to take a second. We're going to take a second of classroom time because I personally want to talk about this whole Blazblue Centalfiction not getting a dub when it comes out in November thing. Because it's been rumored back and forth for months where people were trying to find answers, that people were hearing things, but now it's official. Is that even though I made the mistake and should have known better than to read people's thoughts on a subject, which is a thing on the internet you should never ever do. But knowing that I wanted to talk about this subject is that I wanted to get a gist of how people felt. And a lot of it broke down into the debate the internet has been having for years of the sub versus dub debate. And trust me, this could be the platform that I could live and die on that, but that is a whole nother video, and I need Jay in for that and stuff like that, and that can go for hours on end. But I just want to sit to the subject because, again, I was the genius that made the idiot mistake of reading what other people thought on the internet, and all it was a whole bunch of misguided nonsense that now I have to step upon my platform and try to correct, because my job is to help you be a better you. That's what I do better than anybody in the business. So I just want to take some time and I just want to correct a couple of things that people have said with having the lack of intelligence you need to speak on a subject that you may not be as versed as you think. I want to start with this point because it's my favorite, and that's why we're starting with it first. I read one comment that says something along the lines of, well, because the game has no dub and we get the game around the same time as the Japanese people, is that the scenes will grow at the same time. Dear person, I want to tell you how wrong you are. Take it from somebody who has been a part of the cycle, trying to find a solution, and also in that same cycle being a part of its problem. You want to know what that cycle is, children? That cycle is the arcade to console cycle when it comes to your favorite fighting games. This has been a thing for years. A thing for years. I mean, in the way of, especially when you speak about games that come out by Arc System Works. Because, let me explain. Once upon a time, there is a game announcement in Famitsu, usually. This game will be in arcades at some point. At some point down the line, the game comes out in arcades. There used to be a part of this story where I, the one and only, would be the source of taking care of you, with showing you everything you want to know about this arcade fighting game you can get nowhere near. You would follow this cycle for a while, and you would get to a point, maybe 6-7 months later, after that game has, done some dirt. You go back to Famitsu. This game will be out on consoles in another 3 to 4 months. So, you wait another 3 to 4 months, Triple the G.O.D. still serving you to work better than anybody in the business, and you get to the game coming out on a console. And usually when that game comes out on a console, is that game has something that the arcade game does not. So that it takes the people who played the arcade game and gives them some incentive to play the game at their own home. So, at this point, name your fighting game maker has made change after change on stacks on stacks on stacks on bread on bread on bread on cash in the arcade at this point. They now finna double down on they Japanese fans and finna release a console version. Meanwhile, you, in everywhere that's not Japan, is sitting up here wondering, is where's our game at? The answer is that Japanese company doesn't give two shits about you, because in this console cycle, you don't matter. You don't. You are a person in that cycle who has no say, that you don't matter because you are not the intended audience. However, in this console cycle, your teacher, that is me, I am a member of this console cycle because I have followed this game from the day it came, or from the day they announced it, from all the footage you upload on the internet, and becoming so intimate with this game is that you're going to import it because that's what you do. And also, in those same communities that support games like this, they gonna import the game anyway because they've been so hungry to get them some of this game they've been watching for damn near a year. They gonna import the game anyway. So a console game coming out in America at some point, if it's gonna get a localization, is a second thought to them because all they want to do is play a game. So to remind you where we are in this cycle, game gets announced. Game comes out, triple the G.O.D. serves the work, we get to an announcement of the console game, and then the cycle repeats itself. At some point, maybe, if you get lucky, somebody comes out and decides, well, you can get this game in America now, and you get the game in America at some point. But at some point, when you get this game in America, the new version of that old game that you just got is in the middle of this cycle, and it's either finna A, turn into another revision that will turn into another console game, or B, get ready to turn into a new arcade game that repeats the cycle over and over again. The point that I'm trying to make is, you saying that getting the game around the same time as your Japanese counterparts equals and levels the playing field? No. Your Japanese counterparts have been playing the game for damn near a year plus before you even get a game in your local country officially. You get to dodge around a cycle by importing the video game, by playing it. I have been importing video games for years. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Checking nigga stats. Trust me. The arcade to console cycle is a thing, will always be a thing. And you think that the game getting no dub brings the game out earlier, escapes the cycle. Wrong. Because now, because of the choice of axis, you are now part of the cycle. So, Centalfiction doesn't have an extend on it. So guess what? Arc System Works ain't done with your motherfucking ass yet. So trust me. S is going to come back around in the arcade version. And S is going to bring with her somebody new when they announce the extend revision, whenever the hell that is. And in about another year from now, we're going to be right back here talking about God knows what, depending on what they do. And we're going to get to the end of that console cycle, and then you're going to get another game. And then Chapter 4 and Blazblue will be done after that, unless they want to hit you for a third one if they feel like it. So, look, just because the game come out earlier, don't change what the game always was when it didn't include you. It just now includes you. You have now officially become part of the arcade to console cycle, and even given that, the game come out a whole month before it come out in America, because the game come out, what, October the 15th, I think? Let me see. It's October the 6th. Okay, it come out October the 6th. So, and they say, according to the PS blog, it come out in November. So, your Japanese counterparts got a year and some change on your ass. They gon' by the time the game come out, it would have came out in a year in arcades. So there is no such thing when it comes to quote unquote anime fighters, when it comes to the way that Arc System works and companies like them release games, you always gonna be behind the ball. There will be no catch up you can do. It's that, yeah, the parity comes, you get a month and then you get parity. But then by the time you get used to the old game, Extend will be out in arcades. And you're going to be right behind the 8 ball again. So don't ever sit up here and say that, well, because this is happening, that everything is hunky-dory. Wrong. The arcade to console cycle is a thing. Will always be a thing. And it will be. It's not going nowhere. This has been a working formula for all fighting game makers who do this. It's a working formula. It would not surprise me within the next 6 months to a year that you either see Street Fighter 5 or KOF 14 in an arcade machine. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Would not surprise me. In Capcom's case, they need to make as much money on Street Fighter 5 as they can. So if they can sit up here and give Japanese players the incentive to go to arcades and play it, because the arcade version will have something that the console version does not, that's more money for Capcom. SNK, they could always use the more bread, because The arcade is they home, so it's like it's just them going back home and taking care of F-14, and they can sit up here and do what arcades have always done for this console cycle since, what, 2009, which is be a test bed for everything you ultimately get in that version before everything resets and the console cycle goes on and on and on again. This is the game right here. So like I said again, no. The game coming out earlier does not level the playing field. When it comes to quote-unquote anime fighters, because of the way Arc System works and companies like to release the game, parody my ass. It don't exist. Parody doesn't exist when it comes to the game. Because even with the game coming out now, you always going to be behind. Because again, like I said, you going to get Centalfiction, no dub, in November. February, bet it, extend version of Centalfiction in arcades, because they got to get S back in. They got to get S in the game somehow. They got to get S and Ma back in the game somehow. And the only way they can do it, and give the incentive to Japanese players to go play it, is give you S, Ma, and give you something else the console version does not have. Mainly what that's probably going to break down to are game updates. That's what's going to break down, the balance updates and stuff. That because it costs way too much to do it on console, easy to do in arcades. So, do you want to continue and say that this game having no dub and you getting it earlier changes something? No. You just now part of the cycle that I've been a part of since 2009. That's it. That's all. You are now part of the cycle that me as an import gamer and gamers like me who import these games, people in these communities for these fighters who import the game and then double dip when the new one of the game come on just to show their love for it. You just now part of the cycle, a part of a problem that has no solution, because no matter what, company making money hand over fist, and you want them to do that so they can continue to make games. That, my children, is the arcade to console cycle, brought to you by the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. The other big thing that was brought up in all of this was the sub versus dub debate when it comes to not having one. It's simply this, because when I went back and I started reading all the stuff before I made the video, something was said by Christina V that like put this in like a weird perspective. Christina V says, and I quote more or less, she has been Noelle since she's been a teenager, and she has grown up as an adult voicing this character. That puts time in a very strange place and makes me feel older than I already do, because I feel like I'm 32 going on like 90 something every day. But it put that into perspective for me, that why fans who have grown with these characters and expect the character to come a certain way, except when it comes to Continuum Shift, when it came to the portable version where some characters had to be dubbed by different people to like get like things and this and that, and maybe I might buy that on eBay. Thank you, Chrome. Anywho, is that's the point that I want to make today, is that I'm not going to get into the dub versus sub debate. This is not the place to argue that. But I understand why fans are pissed off, why fans are deciding they're not buying the game. Because for the past, what? Calamity Trigger, Continuum Shift, Extend version, Chrono Phantasma, Extend version, Centalfiction. Not including many portable games and shit like that, and you know, all those 3DS Smash clones or whatever. People have spent years getting to know these characters, and they sound a certain way. So yeah, we get to the tail end of what's supposed to completely close this game out, and something you have been used to, the way that the character is, because of the way that you perceive it, because of the wonderful voice talents that give life to these characters. You don't get that now. So I'm feeling you. I'm feeling all of you. At the same time, people who don't enjoy dubs and want to read while they listen to Japanese people speak, I understand you too. is that a lot to the people who on the sub side of it, well, the game ain't get no dub, no loss to me because I didn't listen to that bullshit anyway. I get it. I understand how you feel. But I need y'all sub people to understand how the dub people feel. That's what I need y'all to do. I get it. For you sub folks, it don't mean not jack squat shit to you that Centalfiction is getting no dub. But for people like me who have become invested in the characters in this way and are used to hearing things that make sense, is that this is going to be jarring as fuck when I play story mode. This is going to be jarring because there are things that I expect. Like when Ragnar speaks, I expect a job done by Patrick Seitz. I expect that, and now I'm not getting it, and that's kind of fucked up. It is because of how you invest into something. And it's a shame we won't get it, but the thing is that from the tweets that were given, the only hope that you're given for if you are a dub fan is at the moment. That means maybe because there have been games that have come on disc with a dub, but then you could download the Japanese voice track. But then here comes the other problem of the reason why the dub probably got dropped was because voice actors have to be paid. They don't work for free. Trust me, I know, because every year at some point they all get together and want people to tweet a hashtag so they can go to their union and go fight for something. So they expect to be paid and want to be paid for the work they're doing. So I don't know if you really gon' unless all the actors agree to come do the voices for less than what they normally would to make sure that it gets out as a thank you to the fans. We don't know that. It would be nice if those that be think about this for the fans that want it. But then what's probably gonna piss people off is we can't offer it for free, so you have to buy it. Will there be enough fan fervor to buy an English dub for this Japanese video game? Will Axis and whoever else involved make their money back? Because after they pay the voice actors and do all the stuff, they get the voices in and match, especially in a DLC scenario. Who's ultimately going to pay for that to make sure it break even? And again, as I spent 10 plus minutes talking about the arcade to console cycle, there's going to be an extend version of this game because that's the only thing that makes sense, because that's how the arcade to console cycle worked, which means we're going to come back to this point again. They're going to dub something else? Who knows? So, I get it. It sucks. It sucks for those like me who expect something and am not getting it. But that don't mean I'm not going to buy the game. I need to play Centalfiction. I don't know what the hell I'm going to play it on. Still ain't got a PS4. You can play it on PS3. But then that's the whole not playing the PS1 version of Cyberbots because it sucks. But that's another conversation. But still though, it's a shame. It is. It's a shame that there is no dub. There's a shame. There's a big old argument between what and who. Business decisions have to be made. You get the game. It may not be what you want, but if you were coming to it just for the story and the English dub is putting you off, maybe you shouldn't buy it. Maybe you should do what you threatened to do and just wait till it go on sale and buy it for next to nothing when it drops to like basement prices on Amazon at some point. We need to learn to understand each other better. And that's what I glean from reading the comments and reading the things that I've read about the situation, is we need to learn how to understand each other better. Just because you absorb something in its native language doesn't make you better than the person who decides that they want to experience it a certain way. allegedly you're all human beings and you're all equal to each other, but not to me. That's the thing. Just reminding you. But still, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Because again, this isn't precedent. Xrd Revelator didn't get a dub. But that's different on the scale of things because that was one game that had a dub versus the 6 or 7 that have had dubs every time they come out, and then this one not having one. So you can't really equate one to the other in the instance of that the history may dictate current history, but then you had all these games that have had a dub and now this one isn't. So maybe it comes out as DLC later. Why is the dog barking? Is it it's 4:20 in the morning. Is it weed time right now? Really, dog? What do you want? What do you want, dog? I'm ignoring the dog now. I'm ignoring the dog. I should have closed the door. But I need some air to come in through my back door. That was a mistake. Regardless, dog off the table. This is going to be interesting to see develop. I'm like, for me, you get the game early. That's cool. The dog is barking at something. The dog is barking at something, and it's like, I don't know. Okay, the dog stopped now. And now the dog is going. Is the dog mad at me because I'm talking about Blazblue? The dog mad at me. I'm going to close the door now. Dog getting on my nerves. Internet, hold that dog, please. See? No more dog. Problem solved. Now wait, I can barely hear the dog. You can just hear it less, but it's still kind of irking at me. Oh boy. This is going to be an interesting thing, I tell you. But, like I said, we just gonna have to wait to see it shake out. And then whatever happens shall, but hopefully we get to a position where everybody wins. Where everybody is satisfied with an ultimate result, because that helps. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get out of here. I'm of course the one and the only, the triple, the G.O.D. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another installment of Triple the Guy Speaks On. And with that, I'll holler at you guys next time, man. Peace out.